My name is Ryan Maines. This is a picture of me when I was 5 years old in 1986. On June 11th of that year, Ferris Bueller's Day Off was released. Directed by John Hughes, it was a critical and box office success. Siskel didn't like it, but Ebert gave it 3 stars.
This is a sweet, innocently heartwarming little movie about a kid who's trying to help his friend win some self-respect. And on that basis, I think it works, and I thought it was sort of entertaining.
The film had the 10th best box office of 1986, and star Matthew Broderick received a Golden Globe nomination for what is arguably the most recognizable performance of his career.
The nominees for Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy are Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
He lost to this guy. In 2014, Ferris Bueller's Day Off was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry of the U.S. Library of Congress for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. One of only 3 narrative feature films from 1986 that have earned that honor. Over 30 years later, the film's popularity continues to thrive, with new generations of fans connecting to its universal themes.
Bueller.
The first time I saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off was probably in '87. I had older teenage siblings who would record movies on Betamax, and Ferris was one of many I was introduced to. Fast forward to January 2016. I was researching stories for short documentaries for Hollywood Suite, where I work as a producer. I came across a story of an artist named Sarah Keenlyside, who was recreating Ferris Bueller's bedroom. Ferris's room was always a focal point in the movie for me. He had everything. A computer that he could use to hack into his student record, a synthesizer that made bodily sounds, tons of kick-ass posters and other paraphernalia adorning his walls, and a stereo with an equalizer. I always loved equalizers. I emailed Sarah, and we met for coffee. And so began my journey into Ferris's room.
Ferris's room. My name is Sarah Keenlyside, and I am a filmmaker and an artist. I am also the recreator of Ferris Bueller's Bedroom. The first time that I did this room and the sort of the purpose for doing it in the first place was an event called Come Up to My Room, an art event that's held at the Gladstone Hotel here in Toronto every year. I love the event. I've been going for years and years, and I've participated in it before doing like a projection piece. But I really wanted to do something that referred to the event itself, you know, the idea of coming up to someone's room. It was a really spontaneous idea. Like, it literally was, there was no kind of like sitting down brainstorming about it. It was, honestly, I just went one day, I know exactly what I want to do. I'm just gonna recreate Ferris Bueller's Bedroom. It took a few years for me to kind of actually like really build up the courage to do it, because I knew that it was going to be a colossal task. I had other art projects on the go, and I just felt like, you know, the time was never right, you know, to make that kind of level of commitment. I just thought, yeah, 2016 is going to be the year. So for me, it was like this bizarre, you know, amazing serendipity that it happened to be on a significant year in the movie. And perhaps, you know, some of that is what contributed to the response and the zeitgeist that kind of built around it. You know, I first created the room at the Gladstone, you know, it was like from scratch. Literally, there was an empty room, not the right proportions. I didn't have any of the stuff, you know, it's not like I had a collection that had been growing for years or something like that. Like, literally, everything had to be bought, you know, square one.
For the Toronto version of the room, Sarah collaborated with good friend and artist Joseph Clement. Joe played a major role in figuring out the dimensions of Ferris's room, as well as the construction of the room itself.
I think at first it was mostly just doing research. I took a lot of screen grabs, and I started to make lists of what I definitely could see and what I thought maybe was there, and then question marks. Because he has a few pictures of paintings in his room, so I sent it to art experts, and I'm like, what could this be, and what's that? And we actually did figure out a couple of them. It took me a long time to just sort of like start actually like pulling the trigger and buying things, because some of the stuff, the first time you find it, it's usually at its most expensive. So, you know, the keyboard, you're like, oh my God, that keyboard is $5,000. And then at the last month, it was like, oh my God, if I don't start buying these things, they're not even gonna make it here in time. And so I just started on an eBay spree and was just like buying, you know, everything that I thought that I needed, and, you know, and going thrifting constantly in hopes that I would still find, you know, the odd thing. I am a big fan of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It is one of my favorite movies. I can't say that it's my favorite all-time movie, but it's pretty darn close. That's not my reason for doing The Room. I came at that project as an artist, and for me, this was meant to be sort of a process-based artwork, which, you know, if you're not like an art person, it seems really weird. What is that, right? It was about, can I do this, and will it look authentic?
Along with director John Hughes, it's important to acknowledge the work of John W. Corso, the production designer of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Corso's film career spans 5 decades and includes an Academy Award nomination and an Emmy win. He was at the top of his game in the 1980s, and his filmography lists some of the most iconic Hughes films of the decade: 16 Candles, Weird Science, Pretty in Pink, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, and The Breakfast Club.
The response to The Room at the Gladstone was like, it was crazy. I can't say that I've ever seen anything like this. The lineup to Ferris's room went all the way down the hallway, wrapped around, down all the stairs. I think I was on like every major news media like across the country, certainly Toronto-based media. You know, I did Metro Morning, CBC News, CTV News, 2 different things on Vice. Forbes wrote about it, Lonely Planet wrote about it, and it was like a phenomenon.
It was amazing. I loved it.
It's like a warm blanket. It just gives you that really great feeling to be surrounded by artifacts that you know and love.
I never could have imagined just how ecstatic people were when they came through. And they came back, and several times they went and looked at the rest of the exhibition and then came back to see it.
This is an emulator 2, a multi-timbral synthesizer. The sounds will be allocated to specific parts of the keyboard so that you can play up to 4 different sounds at the same time.
You know, and I allowed people to really interact with the project, which, you know, felt really important to me, that it wasn't about being some precious thing. And, you know, usually things are behind, you know, glass or velvet ropes. And in this case, I specifically did not want people to feel like they couldn't get in there and touch it, you know, and that brought it to life in a way that I think, you know, was a little bit unexpected to me.
Never had one lesson.
Ferris seems to be a bit of a closeted goth.
Doesn't matter where you're at. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't look around once in a while, you can miss it.
That's awesome.
You know, when I did the Gladstone, I thought that would be kind of the end of it. You know, it was just a 4-day event, and, you know, I'd just sell off all the stuff, and that'd be the end of Ferris's room. As we were leading up to the event, I got a message on Facebook from a girl named Linda. She was really excited to come to see the room, but also, did I know about Ferris Fest, and, you know, that it was the 30th anniversary of the movie, and these people were organizing an event around that to celebrate it in Chicago. Maybe I can put you in touch with him.
Hey everybody, I'm David Blanchard. I'm the creator and event organizer of Ferris Fest, and this is the Ferrari. Well, not the actual Ferrari from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but an exact replica. And it's an absolutely beautiful car.
So I was like, sure, you know, why not? Like, let's see what happens with all of this. And I contacted David, and he was very enthusiastic and said, like, he'd love to invite, you know, the room to Ferris Fest.
Putting this whole event together is really like a lot of balls that are, you want to say balls.
I think in some ways I was a little naive at the time because, you know, I was so high on the moment of like it being such a fun thing, you know, and this was like during the event that I said yes.
There's so many moving parts. There are more moving parts to this event than I ever could have imagined even just 6 months or a year ago.
The implications of it just hadn't occurred to me. There's a lot of logistical issues with bringing an entire bedroom worth of stuff to another country. And also the fact that, you know, there were a number of things in the room that I had either borrowed or had rented in Toronto that I now have to go and do again. You know, you're just sort of in the high of the moment thinking, what a cool opportunity to bring all this hard work I'd done to another group of people. But then I realized that, oh my gosh, I've just made a whole lot of work for myself. And around the same time, also, I'd agreed to doing Comic-Con in Niagara Falls afterward. Comic-Con is quite soon after Ferris Fest. There's a lot of work that is going to be associated with making this happen. This is like a really crucial time right now. I'm scared. I'm really scared. The question is like, how much of this stuff is worth bringing down and how much should I just buy in Chicago? Do I like take a basketball trophy? In the movie, he doesn't have both arms in the air. He has one, but we couldn't find one. But I thought that was good enough for now. American flag, do you think I can find one of those down there? We bought a really good fabric. You can see it's like, so no, I took tons of screen grabs and then you just become like obsessed. You're like, that dot in the background, like what's that? You know, some areas never are in focus. So you're like, what could be there? What maybe might have been there? And you're just kind of extrapolating based on the character of Ferris Bueller. Not everything is exact, like it's campy, right? And that's kind of like the interesting creative license part of this, right? What would a teenager at that time period be reading? Maybe it's like required reading for school. So we thought, okay, of course he's reading Catcher in the Rye, or, you know, we put Clockwork Orange in there because he's rebellious. You know, those kind of interpretations kind of allowed me to bring a little bit of myself into it. I don't think he had a retirement fund, little guy, you know? And the question is like, do I bring this stuff down? I don't think that this would have been possible before the internet. 99% of the stuff was found entirely through web sourcing. eBay was, you know, a big one for all the really specific collectible items. Ferris had a lot of very expensive and what is now quite collectible stereo equipment. And then a lot of things were like Craigslist, Canuck Audio Mart, US Audio Mart, going to Value Villages and Salvation Armies and things like that. How much was he? $4.99. See, some of this stuff was expensive. You know, you add up all this stuff, right? And it's like, whew. I'm guessing I spent about maybe $8,000 or $10,000, which is absurd because I don't know why I did it. It's absurd because I don't have like $8,000 or $10,000 to waste on doing this. But you know what? Like, if I break even on the project, then I'm a happy girl. And you know, that remains to be determined. But I'm happy anyway. I'm glad I did it. It became an obsession, I think much the way that people are fans of certain movies. I became a fan of this room, and I almost felt like the more detailed I could get and the more like realness I could bring into it, that I was somehow honoring the room. It tapped into something. We are driving to Brantford to visit a very important person in this project, which is Sid Bolton. He runs the Personal Computer Museum, which is kind of a magical place. Sid has been collecting vintage computers that, you know, sort of right from the origin of the personal computer. He's an amazing character in the story of Ferris's Room.
We opened in 2005, and I mean, we started with 80 computers in my personal collection. 40 of them may be running the day we opened, and then our collection has grown to be well over 1,000 computers.
He's hoping to improve what he programs on the screen. Sid made it so that it went from 9 days down to 2, but I think we're gonna try to have it so that it goes like 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and just like it did in the movie. My motivation in this project is about the process, and in this case, part of that process is working with other people who have special expertise or knowledge, and you know, someone like Sid is just like one of those dream people that you hope to meet on a project like this. But as it turns out, he was like a really big Ferris fan.
Look at that. Save Ferris. That's perfect.
It gave him just that extra fire in his belly to help out and to make it awesome.
So here is our lovely IBM computer, and of course, it looks familiar to you because this is the one that you've already played with and have seen. Working with this stuff on the actual units can be very frustrating just because of the age of it, right? And not only that, but these things were slow and they were, much less reliable than technology is today. People don't realize how different stuff is today versus what we worked with in the 80s. To actually just get a program running back in the old days, that was actually an accomplishment in itself. So let's cross our fingers and hope it works this time, because it's really frustrating me. No, it's not working this time. It's not gonna do that either. Okay, different trick. 3 different discs to get this working in one shot, maybe. Try this. Okay, so now we have it coming up and saying run in an infinite loop. We'll say yes on here. One of the major changes I made, of course, is where his absence is there.
So far this semester, he has been absent 9 times.
9 times?
9 times.
In a second, it should start to change to 8 and start to actually go down in reverse type.
He has missed 9 days.
That reverse type sort of helps draw your eye into it, and they did the same thing in the film.
I asked for a car, I got a computer. How's that for being born under a bad sign?
I remember when I was a kid watching the movie and thinking, how on earth did he change the school computer? And I mean, back then, I guess it would have been 1985 when they made the movie. I didn't know that there was internet then. Was that like, would a kid be able to have something like that in his room, or is that kind of like crazy?
So there would not have been internet the way we are used to it today, but what there would have been was the ability for someone to call in from one computer to another computer over a modem telephone line. So there would have been that option, although I don't know that most schools would have had a system that would have allowed teachers to remotely do that, but some may have. I wanted a car, I got a computer. How's that for being born under a bad sign? Well, in this case, it worked out for him. But with Ferris, it always does. I'm getting too old for this shit. So that's that. All ready to go. Now you gotta be careful with this. This is my baby.
I know.
Actually, it's just one of my children, so this happens to be an important one, but that's okay. Maybe put that on the bottom so that like that. Yeah, just so that it doesn't have too much of a chance to slide around.
We have a long drive ahead to Chicago, I don't know, at least 7-8 hours. We got a very late start, which is always a little nerve-wracking for me.
Ferris Fest was gearing up to be a big deal.
Am I excited? That's why I'm here, baby.
David had lined up tours of the original filming locations. The supporting cast would be there. The parade scene was being recreated with lookalikes. And of course, there was Ferris's room.
It's just gonna blow the roof off the city. Wait, don't say blow the roof, don't say explosions. Yeah.
As the event neared, it felt like the room was becoming the centerpiece of the festival. This undoubtedly added to the pressure on Sarah.
As soon as we get over the border, if we get over the border, then I will feel pretty good. But until then, I feel really sick. Because what if they don't let us over? Or what if they want us to go back and get more paperwork? What if they, don't let you with your equipment go over? Maybe they won't let him go over the border, you never know. We packed everything up a couple days ago. We sort of had a different plan in mind, which was to ship it all by FedEx. And I felt like I didn't really want to entrust them with another time-sensitive thing.
The previous week, Sarah had shipped a large package to the US, unrelated to Ferris's room, and it got stuck in customs, so she was rightfully jumpy about the border. So much so, she decided to drive the contents of the room down herself.
We packed up everything in these big crates. When we changed our minds and I decided that I was going to drive everything down, I realized that the crates were too big to fit in the truck, at least all 4 of them. So I pared it down to just 2 crates, and then some things like, Abe here, they're just loose in the car, the mannequin too. I have to find a number of things down there. I mean, some of it's boring stuff. It's like IKEA, you know, components to make his like wall unit, paint, you know, stuff like that. Once it gets set up, then you kind of can look around and be like, okay, what else does it need, right? We're gonna have to go to some thrift stores. We're gonna have to go to like, you know, maybe a prop rental place. Another thing that we're missing that, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, but he had like a vintage radio. And the one that we had wasn't particularly like authentic to the movie. Like it was much bigger. It was like an old fashioned style wood radio. So maybe I'll find one of those from like a prop rental or something like that. And the keyboard will be united with the keyboard that I bought in Los Angeles, which I have yet to see.
For the Toronto room, Sarah had been loaned a non-functional version of Ferris's synthesizer. Intent on getting one that worked, Sarah found one online. Apparently, it had been owned by the band Toto. Yep, these guys. At some point, it became clear that it too was not working.
As it turns out, the keyboard is non-functional. I'm sad about this. Oh, and then the TV. Fingers crossed that we'll find a good TV. At least something that's like contemporary of the one that he had in his room, but of course I'd love the Sony Trinitron. I haven't found any on Craigslist or anything like that though. The one big question mark is how this room is going to get built. We had a number of contractors that quoted like $15,000 to build 3.5 walls essentially that has no electrical, no plumbing, no lighting, no nothing integrated into it, not even windows, like actual functional windows, just the framing. And it's like maybe 2 to 3 day job. So apparently one of the people working with David on the project, his name is Toby, he found a contractor that's willing to do it for a reasonable price, and hopefully he's really good at what he does. I mean, it's a really simple room, but, you know, like it's crucial. You know, as long as the guy knows what he's doing, it should go together quite easily.
We made it across the border in Windsor without issue and arrived in Chicago around 2:30 a.m.
David Blanchard, the organizer of Ferris Fest, came up with a really great idea that it should be in downtown as opposed to in the suburbs, which is where they're doing the rest of the festival. His goal was to get the Virgin Hotels to sponsor having the room in their space. So we met with a woman named Abby from there, and they are giving us a really awesome space. So leaving a bit more room on this end, and so that that light can kind of come through and permeate through the windows would be nice.
Yeah.
This is the other David, David Van Osdal, the construction coordinator. Not to be confused with David Blanchard, the festival creator.
Like, it would be logical to have the room go this way, but you don't, well, no, yeah, you don't get the light, totally. And then you don't get that vision of like the room, you know, that you're so used to when you see the movie. So when we did it the last time, we were pretty picky about, you know, some of the details. And then I was like, this whole room is covered in posters. Like, there's so many posters. It's almost everywhere.
Looking at the pictures on the website, that's kind of what we figured, because in each one of these panels, you know, I would say there's lines between each sheet of drywall. And George is bringing a drywall box, so if something is super exposed that bums you out, I mean, we can hit it quick.
This corner in particular, I don't have a lot of the things for it because when we did it in Toronto, this is where the entrance was to the room. We had no choice but to put it there.
Yeah.
So I didn't focus that much on that space, so that's where I'm just a little bit of a question mark. And if maybe the room, that wall kind of starts here, you know, like ish, leaving enough room over there, but like just barely, you know, so that I can get away with not having too much on this wall.
Okay.
I knew it! Oh!
A lot of people want to make the mannequin go up and down. It'd be better to have it so that it can sort of move, like, and it's not gonna like
Yeah, no,
down.
it's both doors I got are fully functional, just so they could match their 6-panel old school doors.
David, I'm so glad to have you on board. Like, honestly, this is my one major I had 2 anxieties with doing this particular like adventure. One is going over the border with all that weird stuff. Number 2 was the room build, because I don't build, you know, I'm not a carpenter, and I couldn't even begin to do this myself. So knowing that somebody like as lovely as you is involved, I feel so much better. This is not how we did the room in Toronto. It is so exciting to see the walls coming already built. This is like a very big development for me. It was very messy when we did it in Toronto. Like, it was like totally from scratch. So the fact that these guys had a shop to build it in it's just awesome. I'm so happy.
Ferris's room was built inside a party room, adjacent to Miss Ricky's Diner, the Virgin Hotel's restaurant. It meant that all supplies, equipment, and eventually Ferris Fest crowds needed to travel through the seating area.
Thank God this guy gets it. David is wonderful. I feel like, you know, that's the kind of guy you hope for in a contractor, especially like your own home. Never mind like a project that is so time sensitive and so special and really doesn't have a huge budget.
That was part of the struggle, was trying to figure out how much to do on site and how much to pre-do off site. And, you know, it's a delicate balance. We almost just brought drywall down and just drywalled everything in place, but I'm glad we didn't.
The room felt really great in Toronto, and, you know, maybe there's just a certain element of, like, je ne sais quoi that goes into it, whether it works or not. You know, maybe this time it won't feel quite the same and it won't feel good, and I hope that, I think it might feel better. I think we have a bit more of a suitable space to build it in. Hello.
Hey there.
Hi. Wow, oh my God. Cool.
What do you think?
It's great. The only thing is, this we still need window here.
Yes,
Can we cut
I was
that?
going to
Okay,
ask you
good.
about that. Yeah, you want us to case this out as well? Like,
Yes.
Maybe, like, just
Yeah,
do
just
it
the
around?
trim to make it look like a real window.
Okay.
Yeah. The window's covered, but not that, right? Like, because it'll be just blinds, and then I've got these other
Okay.
curtains, and then we've got this desk situation that's kind of running around the corner.
Okay.
Cameron, this is my 9th sick day. If I get caught, I won't graduate. I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for you.
And then baseboard. I know on the drawing it was like kind of choppy with the baseboard.
I think it really needs to be on this wall and up to about here. I mean, until I have the stuff, that's hard to tell you exactly where it doesn't need it, right?
Okay.
With the room construction going well, I followed Sarah on a supply run to Home Depot.
Continue on East Wacker Drive.
I think she's very confused. Like, I am totally baffled as to where I'm supposed to be going right now. Oh, I've got this like huge bump right here. This is like the result of anxiety and stress, is this giant like boil on my face. Given that the kind of like the issues that we had, you know, how I was feeling yesterday, but then, you know, kind of offset today by how wonderfully the room is coming out. Like, now I'm like, okay, now I really want to nail it. Like, I really want the standout of Ferris Fest to be this room. I just want people to go, holy shit, you know, like somebody worked a lot on this thing. And we're ahead of schedule. When does that ever happen? Famous last words, right? Not many people would go to the lengths that I've gone to do this, right? And it's not to like toot my own horn. It's like literally like, sometimes it scares me a little bit that I do this. Yeah, we had to buy a different chest of drawers than we have in Toronto because I don't want to ship it. So I found one on Craigslist for $30, and it's pretty good, but it's not ideal. Let me try a little harder. This may not even be a standard, right? Like, we gotta find doorknobs too. I'm just gonna glue them on. All right. It's always like, you could probably find something cheaper somewhere else, but like, are you gonna drive around for 10 hours to find it? You know, it's that balance.
While all of this was going on, Sarah was actively running a small business, Chocolates by Brandon Olson. Brandon, her fiance, is a renowned chef and chocolatier, and business was booming when we were in Chicago.
We don't have any pictures of the Opera Nation chocolates right yet because they're being made right this moment. I'll see if I can figure something out, but it may not happen. And maybe even check in with the Drake General Store about what they're doing with them. Like, I think there's only 75 boxes or something, so get them quick.
So like limited edition, go now, kind of thing.
Yeah. I didn't buy any trim paint because I didn't think I was going to paint the trim. Then I look at the doors, and they look kind of like a little different color than the trim, and it's like, maybe I should. What I'll do is I'll get up like really early. Yeah, right. Just painted that corner, and then I'm gonna put a Cabaret Voltaire poster over the whole thing. Like, it literally wraps around the corner. People are asking me, they always ask me why I did it. And I honestly don't have a really very good answer. Like, I have my, like, theory answer. You know, oh, well, of course, you know, it's culturally relevant because of blah, blah, blah. But really, it's because I wanted to. So today is a big day. I'm actually a little anxious about how much I have to do today because I feel like, I don't know, it's hard to gauge how much time everything is going to take to get done. Right now, we are headed way out in the suburbs in Chicago. I sort of had anticipated that this drive was going to take like half an hour, but it's actually like an hour and 15 minutes. We're getting Ferris's chair. It is a 1940s wagon wheel furniture rocker. It was one of those things in the room that, you know, it references that kind of cowboy culture, which is really, I find really fascinating. A woman got in touch with me on Instagram. She tagged me in a photo of the horse chair that is in Ferris's room, saying, you know, you may have all these items from Ferris's room, but do you actually have this horse chair? They catch little glimpses of this chair. For instance, at the end when he's throwing all his stuff, taking off all his clothes and getting into bed again, throws his jacket onto this chair that has a horse's head as his parents are like coming up the stairs. This is one of these opportunities where maybe I can do a little better than I did in Toronto. In Toronto, my amazing mother-in-law actually reupholstered a chair to look like it. Found this like rocker at a Salvation Army. Basically created like an applique in vinyl that had the horse on it and everything. But A, that chair was quite big, so bringing it here would have been a challenge. And B, like have a real one, which is really, you know, of course, my entire MO of this project is to have things be as authentic as possible. What a cool place to get to see, you know? I love this. This is what I live for. Everybody's got mailboxes. Look at that. Like, who has a mailbox anymore in the front of their yard? If this is her house, that's really cool. It is, I think. Let's go meet Rosie. Hi, Rosie. I did. How are you? Can I hug you? Oh,
yes, of course.
What a beautiful neighborhood you live in. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're not in the city. I didn't know if I made that clear to you.
Okay, I hope it fits in the car. That was the only concern I have.
There it is.
Because they're fairly, oh, it's not bad. It's not too big.
No, it's...
Oh my goodness. I'm so thrilled.
We were taking a walk. We took the dog for a walk during Big Garbage Day, and the chair was in our neighbor's trash, and, along with the couch to match it. And it was damaged, but I loved it so much because of just the uniqueness of it. He wouldn't let me take the couch.
The couches are big.
Yeah. I wanted both.
The neighbor
but this one had a split, like right at the seam.
Wow.
And it was completely split. So we had it in the basement for years, and then I said, you know, if we're gonna keep that, we need to fix it. So we brought it to a reupholsterer, and this is like a composite leather. It had vinyl.
So
but we matched exactly. He cut out the horse head and redid it. The seams are exactly where they were, so he made it exactly as it was.
It's excellent. Yeah. It really is.
And then a few years ago when we were rewatching the movie, and you see that last scene where he's tossing his coat, I think, into the chair right before he gets, you know, he's in bed. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's our chair.
I got it.
All by yourself?
No.
What? Look at how strong he is.
Wow.
He's old, but he's mighty.
I could use some help with the door.
I mean, we already had so many stories behind this chair. Now we have even more stories.
Yeah. Oh, totally. No, I'm super grateful.
It's a little dusty now that I'm out in the daylight.
Oh, it fits
here.
perfectly. This is great. Thank you so much.
We'll see you on Sunday.
I'm so grateful. Yes. The purpose of doing this stuff for me is to be like, wow, look at this like crazy neighborhood, this beautiful little enclave that I would never have any reason to like come to otherwise. And to meet, you know, some stranger who is kind enough to loan me something for my crazy art project. It changes my attitude about life, right? You can you know, receive the kindness of strangers and just have an adventure while doing so. Oh, there's David. Hi, David.
Hey, Tara.
Just got the chair.
Okay.
And so I'm just trying to calibrate, figure out how far away you are, and give you an ETA.
Okay, do you know which IKEA you're going to? We're trying to nail it down.
No, I don't know which IKEA that's closest to you is what I figured I would do.
Okay, hang on. You're in a place called where?
Cary, C-A-R-Y.
Yeah, I'm just not finding this place called Cary.
It doesn't matter. Pick the one that's closest to you guys. Anywhere, like I'll just come to you. Can you just text me the address and then I'll just put it in my GPS?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
We'll see you soon.
Okay. Okay, sounds good, thanks.
Thanks. Bye. Serenity now.
Things started to get real around the IKEA trip. Prior to Ferris Fest, Sarah had been promised a runner, someone to help her assemble furniture, pick up set decoration items, and to do small jobs to get Ferris's room ready. By this point, it became clear that there was no such person. David Blanchard and his staff stepped in to help put some furniture together, which was nice, but the frustration had already set in. This was coupled with the fact that the room had been chosen as the de facto media base camp. All of the main press events would be done inside the room, and a cast tour would happen the night before during the kickoff party. So it actually needed to be done a day earlier than she had originally been told. It being midnight, that meant about 17 hours from this point.
Today's been a very trying day. I went to IKEA twice. Even one trip to IKEA in a day is more than enough for me. So yeah, twice. It was my own fault. I forgot something, but unfortunately I don't have anybody really helping me schlepping things. So it's literally like me and the truck that I rented, and that's it to pull this room together in a city that I don't live in. But it's getting there. I feel like, well, I've said it before. I've felt somewhat unsupported doing this because it's a big task, you know, and it's a big task and it's a big attraction in the event. So there's a lot of pressure and attention on it, but we'll see. I'm disappointed with this bed, I have to say. It's not the nicest. It was just so hard being there. Like, it was probably the most Kafka-esque, like, IKEA of all time. They'd made it into this giant hexagon, and it was like crazy. I've never been to one like that, where it was 3 floors and you couldn't find anything easily. It's like little things, and you put something on, you know, like you put something out and you're like, okay, it's getting there, it's getting there. It's like, that's a nice feeling anyway. I know it's a little premature to go for this level of proppage, but I just feel the need to do something that looks Ferris-y. All right, bedtime. This bugs me that I can't get it right in the corner. I had an angled desk before, but they didn't have the same products at IKEA, and it would have been a pain. Darn. It goes on that table.
Okay. Why don't you go first? There we go. Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, isn't it? Oh, I was missing a key. Wonder if it's in there somewhere. Ugh. Where's that key? Oh, come on. It's not like you can just like easily rip these open, you know? Can I? Oh, maybe. It's like opening like a Pillsbury dough. One of the things I want to do is like cross-reference these things with the room that I did before, because it's sort of my dimensions that are in play here. There was also like a layering that has to be carefully thought about. When I first said I was gonna do this, some dude wrote on the Gladstones Facebook page, he's like, I'd really like to see where they're gonna get that Cabaret Voltaire poster because I've been searching for it since 1989. And I was like, oh, well, let's see. I actually wanted to track him down and give it to him, you know, because that's a long time to want a poster.
Where did you find it?
I made it. I bought the album for this, and I gave it to a graphic designer, and then we just found other versions of it online and just copied it. Oh, you're not dead, are you? All right. Again, I found evidence that this poster existed outside of the movie on some auction website, but it sold like a year ago for like $30. It was a bit of a bummer, but we remade it ourselves and it looks beautiful. This is not a cheap project. I keep telling myself it'll pay off eventually, but it's hard to see that at times like this. Oh, I need to figure out whether it's all the way to the ceiling or not. It really matters because like everything has to be right where it belongs or else the whole thing gets wonky. It's really weird. I have to say Joe did a really good job of figuring out exactly how big this room was. We used the posters as a measure by figuring out what like the standard width of this door would be, the standard width of a big poster. You know, this poster is a reference to the Breakfast Club, right? I could never have ever anticipated that this was going to be this, like, haphazard. I suppose I always just sort of think happy thoughts, you know? Let's see what happens. It's like meditative when I'm doing it on my own, you know? Nobody to be like, where's this go? Where's that go? Where'd I put that? You know, I'd rather just do it. Ah, shit. See, this is the problem, right? We literally made this poster up. Like, we knew it was this album. We don't know if it had the titles, but this is the titles from that album. Took a little more off than I needed to. That's a weird poster. The band Blancmange, they did a cover of ABBA's The Day Before You Came. You can see little bits of it in the movie, but like you can't see all of it, so I kind of extrapolated from the little tiny bits and pieces that you could see. Oh. There. I feel bad for this guy. There was a time when he was just hanging out in the forest, minding his own business. Now somebody's putting a silly pig nose on him. Everybody's gonna want to screw around with this door because of the mannequin, right? So hopefully we can deter them.
Sarah stayed up until 6 a.m. working on the room. She napped for a few hours before putting the finishing touches on it. I've seen few people as functional as her on that little sleep.
I'm not making this work. This side's not gonna move, but this does. Check this out. Kind of fun, right? A little bit of interactivity. Apparently they want the parents to come in and go through the door. Maybe I should have made that work. Maybe I should make that work. Oh no, but yeah. I'm not gonna have that function. It's too dicey and I don't have good enough string. Looks like shit though. Doesn't look good. That doesn't look good.
Oh, Ed, you sounded like Dirty Harry just then.
You're Abe Froman.
That's right. I'm Abe Froman.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
He doesn't have a fever, but he says his stomach hurts and he's seeing spots.
Welcome to Chicago. Is that your daughter? This is my daughter. It's your daughter. Hi, I'm David. How you doing? How you doing? I'm Larry.
Nice to meet you. I know who all of you are.
So, of course, Sarah's the artist designer from Toronto who did this whole room.
I know. Come get a close up.
It even snores. It even snores.
Oh, God. It goes up and down. The mannequin doesn't because it's too much of a to reset him, but it goes up. Great. Wow. Does it look like you remember it at all?
Very much so.
Yeah? How cool is this? It's just amazing. I've been most looking forward to you guys coming out to this room because you've been in it and accident space. So Jennifer is talking over there, and I moved across to say this. Isn't he sweet?
Honey, feel his hands. They're cold and clammy.
I have a story. And when we were here, and it was the last part of the movie, and I go, oh, isn't he sweet? And I pull up, and he goes, covers. And I'd forgotten to go back into the covers, so I went back into the covers.
Is that where that line came from? Doesn't he go like me?
Yeah, because I was supposed to pull the covers up, and it worked great.
Sorry?
Everything was so
Somebody's in here snoring. Can you?
That's right. And this girl came out and she said, hi, can I take your order? And I said, hi. I said, I love it. And I said, what's your name? I always ask when someone went, what's your name? She went, Sloan. And I went, oh, I said, she went, oh, I was named after that movie. I bet a lot of Sloans were named after that movie, our movie.
I'm sure.
You want to know something funny? So the programmer, when he was programming it, and he went to save the program, and he realized that he wrote Save Ferris, and it was totally spontaneous. And so that's what he wrote on it. Yeah, it's like
Hold that right there.
Oh, that's funny.
This one's for Sid.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm telling you. Got it?
Yes. Sid would be so happy. Nobody else who's been in it, the real one, has been in this room. So that's pretty. It's just so meta, right? Like it's totally crazy. I never would have imagined that would happen when I did it as an art project.
The cast kickoff party was a lot of fun. To be able to have the actors, specifically Ferris's parents, Lyman and Cindy, in the room was a tribute to Sarah's stressful days leading up to now.
This person and this person and this person and this person. And then it ended. And I said, I think he's a righteous dude. And then just was like ever afterward, it was righteous dude. Righteous dude.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Seriously, it has been insane. I've been live out here all morning long inside Ferris Bueller's bedroom, which is, of course, inside the Virgin Hotel. And we're joined now with David Blanch, who is with Ferris Fest, and Larry Flash Jenkins, who you may remember is one of the gentlemen who stole the Ferrari, one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. So many things going on for Ferris Fest this weekend. It kicks off today. This room really being one of the pinnacles. The artist did an amazing job.
I totally agree. I even kind of felt a tear to my eye when I came in here and saw how amazing, you know, being such a huge fan of the movie, the meticulousness of every last bit.
This movie is an icon when it comes to movies shot in Chicago. What are some of the things that people can experience if they buy maybe a 1 or 2 or 3 day pass to Ferris Fest?
Well, because we've got the whole locations tour that's going to be going all around Chicago, up to Northbrook, all the way down to downtown Chicago, going to Cameron's house, going to the school where Ferris picked up Sloane, dressed as her dad, going to the art museum where we're going to have a Cameron who's going to be there, who's going to be standing in front of the painting, going up to the top of Willis Tower, just going to every last location in Chicago.
Ferris Fest kicks off today, runs through the weekend.
Where do you want me?
We'll have you next to Sarah.
Hey, everybody. Hi.
Right, Richard Roper.
I'm
Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Good to see you, man. How are you?
Isn't this insane? This
Yeah,
is
it's amazing. It's very strange.
Has it looked good on camera?
It pops so great.
That's cool.
I mean, you'd think
cool.
you'd actually walk onto the set.
It's nuts, and you can't.
I'm just glad we're not celebrating The Exorcist 40 years.
Yes!
That'll be going
Yes!
on.
Yes, that could be next.
There's your next one.
Actually,
You could do that, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We got a motley crew here, folks, and we're going to introduce each of them individually. One of them needs no introduction, but first we're going to start with Sarah. Sarah, this is your creation. You did this room. We've been live here all morning long. It is absolutely incredible. How do you pull off something like this?
Oh, with a lot of perseverance. It took me about 6 months to pull all this stuff together, and a lot of eBay searches, a lot of Craigslist, a lot of, you know, just finding things in vintage stores. It was a huge challenge.
And a lot of, I would imagine, freeze framing the movie to sort of get all the details. Am I right?
Yeah, totally. I took tons and tons of screen grabs, and I'd zoom in and out and send things to, you know, art experts to figure out, you know, what's that painting over there that's in a poster. And so yeah, it was a lot of like deep research, and also there's a lot of blogs. Like, people are pretty obsessed with this room. It's not like I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting us be in your creation all morning. It's incredible. Next, we're going to move over to my man Jonathan. Talk to me about that moment that you knew that this movie wasn't going to fade away into history, wasn't going to fade away to time. You knew this movie was going to be something.
Probably at the premiere, which was at Mann's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, and it was just like, oh wow, this is...
We've got something.
Yeah, because when we were in it, it's like, it's a job, and you show up at work, and it's super early, and you do your jokes and everything, and then, I mean, it was fantastic to shoot, but when it was all together, it was just like, wow, this is like magic.
Snooty?
Snotty.
Snotty?
Snooty?
Snotty?
You cannot have Ferris Fest without having perhaps the greatest film critic in America, Richard Roper. Richard, what does it mean for you as a film critic to be a part of a movie that is a part of history?
Well, just to be a fan of it, and I got to say, walking into this bedroom, I got the chills, because this is like stepping into one of the most beloved movies of all time. I was lucky enough to host a 20th anniversary screening of Ferris, a 25th anniversary screening, and now a 30th anniversary screening, and it's amazing. People who weren't even born when this movie came out love this movie. Brat, like this brat right here. You did great.
Thank you so much.
This is just such, I love stuff.
You can't really
I'm
screw
so
these
glad
kind
you
of live
agree.
stuff.
I do, I definitely do.
You know, it's funny, like, I can't, when you were mentioning doing I can't think of another room that makes more sense, though.
Yeah, because so much of the set there. Oh, yeah.
Well, none of it's easy to get. It's not like I just like hire like a
No.
contractor to just build things. Like, it has to be, all the posters were recreated by a graphic designer.
That's amazing.
Because they don't really exist anymore.
My sister's a prop master on films, and she just did a film that's done in Chicago. It's about the first day that Michelle and Barack Obama met. They went on it's the whole movie set on their first date, and it's set in 1982. And she, had to go everywhere looking for everything that was, because you know what it's, if someone, if you say, that was 1986, you got that wrong. People are insane about that.
Can I get a picture of you, Richard, sitting here?
Absolutely.
This is a great shot, and the guy who loaned me this computer will be so blown away.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Richard, it's MS-DOS.
Exactly. Yeah. You got a floppy disk an extra floppy disk for me?
I'm taking this to Comic-Con in Niagara Falls next.
Oh, are you?
And
oh, that's gonna be amazing.
I really want to build it so that, like,
obviously the room was too small to be able to have people go through the doors, so it'd be super fun if we could really fully make it work. Did you like this kind of music back then?
I did, absolutely, yeah. Well, John Hughes, that was the thing. He was one of the first to really put like modern music. I mean, obviously that was from Breakfast Club. Don't You Forget About Me. So I mean, he would find bands that a lot of them weren't that well known, and and find spot. And then of course he would just incorporate like classics like the Star Wars theme or something But he was one of the first to really like make the soundtrack like kind of flow from one song to another, one scene to another. So
no, totally.
Yeah, so like something like Simple Minds, that was a huge thing for them.
Why this movie?
What I love about this film is how it really showcased Chicago. Now, we had the Blues Brothers a few years before that, but that was mostly about them running through Daly Center and breaking things. And when you remember so many scenes from Ferris Bueller, Ferris, of course, lived in the suburbs, but his day off was all about Chicago. So it was almost like the Chicago Tourism Bureau couldn't have come up with a better advertisement. They were at the Merc. We saw a great parade. They went to a Cubs game. They went to the Art Institute. I mean, there were some really beautiful moments. Like, for example, when Cameron was looking at that famous, Sunday in the Park painting and kind of relating to the little girl there, looking back and forth. And then Ferris and Sloane kiss in front of those great Chagall stained glass. So, people who saw that movie all around, not just the country, but around the world, were like, I gotta go to Chicago.
You're still here? Show's over. Go home.
Nice job.
Yay! Thank you for
I had to give you the little,
I saw you there. I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah. This was amazing.
You designed this whole thing?
Yeah, I'm the recreator of this room, yes.
Oh, cool. You take some photos?
Of course I will.
Holy crap, you got the old computer? Yeah, this is exactly as I set it up back in 1986.
And you just happen to have your Ferris vest with you?
So we were like, well, what happens in Chicago? We're like, oh, let's do Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
No.
We're doing like the riverboat today. We're gonna go to the Willis Tower. We're gonna go to the Art Museum. So, and we were actually gonna have brunch next door. And we were just walking by and we saw the sign. So
Shit, are you
This was purely
serious?
a coincidence. I mean, an amazing coincidence.
And you were dressed like this?
Well, I wouldn't say, I had this vest in my bag because my wife wouldn't let me leave our hotel room with this on. So, yeah, but once I saw what was going on, the hostess up there told me to change into this, and so I had to do it.
Yeah. Can I take a picture or two of you? Do you mind?
Oh, I insist. That's actually a legit computer.
There we go.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really great. We had Ferris's parents, like the people who played them, they came last night and they were like really excited.
Dressed up as parents, right?
No.
They might come over in a second.
You're kidding me. What?
So Charlie Sheen.
Oh my God.
This is so awesome.
This is great. Crystal. Crystal, backstory. You have to sit on my backstory. Mom and Dad are going to be in the background.
Yeah, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, we have to shave a bit.
This random thing.
This is amazing.
You guys need to make out.
Hi. You gotta look in on him, parents, yeah. Oh my gosh, this is too much.
How'd you get to be so sweet?
Years of practice.
Thanks for doing that, you guys.
Oh, thank you. This is
Wow. I'm gonna show the parents, they're gonna love it.
It's like synergy, just kind of came together.
Yeah, no shit. It's so cool, like how, it makes people just happy, right? And they love the snore. The snore makes them laugh and,
Hey, Abe Croman, don't drop that. All right, you're cut off for the rest of the day.
Ferris, 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 Ferris. Right,
Hi, we're here.
As day one of the room came to a close, the rest of the festival officially kicked off with a high school dance-themed party in Northbrook, about 25 miles north of the city.
Oh my God, I've quoted you umpteen times, as I'm sure everybody else will see here.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Then we can go and show that house to the Vermont people.
That's right.
I've been waiting my whole life for this.
No,
Yeah.
we love you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Ferris fans! Are you guys having a good time? This all started because last spring, I was, talking to my wife about coming here and going to all the filming locations for Ferris Bueller. Like, hey, let's go. We'll get some friends together. We'll watch the movie. We'll go to Cameron's house and we'll take a little bus tour of our own and we'll make a party out of it. And then a few months passed by and, I was talking to my wife and it's like, next year, meaning this year, is the 30th anniversary of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And this is such an iconic and beloved film around the globe. Why is no one doing anything to commemorate this fantastic movie? And then I just turned to my wife and I said, well, why don't we do something? And that was the start of why all you people are here. We're all here to appreciate Ferris Bueller. Thanks, guys.
On day 2, the bus tours kicked off, making stops at notable locations from the film.
Your trip to the sky deck will only take about a minute. That means your elevator is traveling at a speed of more than 24 feet per second.
John Hughes, by the way, was so sweet and so friendly and so good to all the neighbors. I will tell you that.
Once again, let me tell you how deeply saddened I am by your loss.
Once again, let me tell you how deeply saddened I am by your loss.
Sloan, dear. Hurry along now.
Oh, Sloan, dear. Hurry along now.
Back at the room, people continued to stream in.
Hello, how are you? This is incredible. What inspired you to do this other than your love for Ferris? It's just all immersive. Come on in, come on in. I know. I cannot believe that she recreated this. Absolutely. And that it just so happens we're here this weekend and can partake in this. Incredible. It's a masterpiece.
Are you guys huge fans of the movie?
It is my all-time favorite movie. I wish I had my Save Ferris shirt on.
I mean, even if you don't like the movie, it's a hell of a collection of stuff, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff in here.
How long did it take you to dissect the room on film to figure it all out?
I'd say about 6 months of like researching and looking for stuff, and because you're basically pulling the stuff out of history, out of time.
Yeah.
So lots of things don't exist.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I've probably watched this movie over 1,000 times at least. At least.
I was hoping you'd have the life of this guy.
Oh yeah. And the pig nose. He has a pig nose.
I know. I was really proud.
Got it.
We love your enthusiasm about us partaking.
Yes,
In
of
other
course.
words, you threw this out there, and there's people that are like, we'll do this.
I know. I feel like this is like such a fun place to take pictures and to interact with it. Like, and if I was too precious about it, I think it would be a bit I don't know, it
It
seems
changed
bad
it
to have
completely.
rules in a movie like Ferris Bueller. Like, the whole point is not rules, right? So.
Well done.
And you know why I flew from Florida to do this? Because I needed to play hooky and take a day off. Seriously.
It really is a film with a philosophy, right?
Yes.
Like, that's a good word for
We
it.
all need to stop and say, you know what?
There's a whole world out there, right?
There is, and you're gonna miss it.
Wow.
This is my brother. He called me up and told me about this, and I said, you're 52 going on 12, grow up. Within 24 hours, I said, I'm in. Because I stopped a moment and thought about it, because I'm too practical. And I'm the camera, and I'm like, hello. And I'm all on board now. I mean, seriously.
All on
and
board.
once I committed, it was like, there's no looking back, there's no rethinking this. Can I afford this? No. Should I have taken the time off? No. That's not what this is about. And now look at their ages. This is a movie that has no bounds for generation. It's been out for 30 years. I saw it at the theater the weekend it came out. And yet, a 12-year-old is like, this is the coolest movie. And where are you from?
California.
Oh, of course, of course. And you flew out here to do this.
I did.
Wow. Yeah.
My family think I'm nuts.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But you want to
Who
know
cares?
something? This is so strange. All the people, and I live on the other coast from them of Florida, all the people that I told about this, and most of them are in their 40s and 50s, they are living through me vicariously.
Can I get a picture with you?
Oh my
Because
goodness.
you're so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want a picture of you, too. You are a very inspiring woman.
But it's
really
true.
cool to hear.
Right here in Ferris's room, right?
And what's your name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. I'm Maura.
Maura.
Maura, it's nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Could I get a picture?
Please.
Say Ferris.
Do one more.
Yes.
Wow, that's a great photo.
Thank you, Maura.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Are you the creator?
Yeah, the recreator.
You're Canadian, right? Oh, we are as well.
Oh, where are you from?
Calgary.
Oh, Calgary. Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah.
Nice to meet you.
I remember I went on a date to see Ferris Bueller. I was in the 8th grade, and I went with this boy named Matt Robinson. And I don't think I watched most of the movie. It was like my first date. I was enamored with this boy, and I spent more time making out with him in the movie theater.
Somebody's got to do a peace sign.
This is so cute.
That's Ferris.
I appreciate it more now that I'm a high school teacher.
Oh, no way. That's cool. So do you have a Ferris in any of your classes? Oh, really?
I feel.
You know, Ferris complains that he doesn't own a car, but he had an $8,000 synthesizer in his room. Figure that one out.
Yeah. That was the whole idea, is like, you know, to make something that felt immersive and that, you know, that you maybe fantasized about and then make it a reality, right? Like, I definitely thought about spending time in Ferris's room.
Yeah.
So make it a reality. Why not? Because we're grown-ups. We're allowed to do that if we want to, right?
Now we can, yeah.
Now I can.
Despite not having a break from the room in 2 days, Sarah was awesome with the crowds.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and on those postcards, it's got all my social media stuff. So if you tag your photos so I can see them, I'd love to.
Sweet. Yeah,
There's a hashtag there, and like,
definitely,
yeah,
yeah.
and all that stuff.
Definitely want to do that. Thank you.
The crowds in the afternoon of the second day were crazy. Word had spread and the lineup was down the block. There was even a TV network from Brazil there.
I love Jake Ryan.
Everybody does.
The best.
There was a lot of happiness in Ferris's room. It was a place where people could let go, leave the stress of everyday life, and bask in the nostalgia of what many felt was a simpler time.
Hey, again, awesome job. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Have a good one. Absolutely.
You guys are your awesome costumes. That's fun.
People were coming out after they went in, people I've been talking to a lot, and they come up like,
Oh my God, that's so cool. It's so awesome. I love it.
so
Yeah, how's it going with the rest of everything?
it's going great.
Good.
Today's been a really good day. I've got like the party bus, so everybody's like, woo! You know, this makes it all worth it. All of this. What you're doing here, the tours, all this is paying off.
Yeah.
Smiles on people's faces, and like everybody's like, just people loving it.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You know, we got a Cabaret Voltaire poster, we got the Simple Minds poster, we have the deer head with the pig nose and the life jacket. A lot of weird stuff.
That's great.
The pressure of 10 seconds, holy smokes! I asked for a car, I got a computer. How's that for being born under a bad sign?
The parade is one of the most memorable scenes in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. David Blanchard was hell-bent on recreating it, but there were rumblings leading up to Ferris Fest that it might not happen at all. In 2015, for the grand opening of the Virgin Hotel, Richard Branson staged his own recreation. From what I had gathered, the city was reluctant to shut the street down again, so the plan was made to stage it in Daley Plaza, minutes from where the real parade was filmed.
The performance is like brain flow, 3 grooves. Performance, they finish. He's had performed.
Just like how you said it in the draft.
Like how we said in the draft, yeah. You know it, I know you know it.
As the parade came to a close, so too did Ferris's room.
Bye. Safe Ferris.
During the 3 days of Ferris Fest, nearly 4,000 people experienced it. They came from across the US, Canada, Japan, Australia, Britain, New Zealand, Brazil, and countless other countries. Sarah quickly packed up the contents of the room, and we headed back to Toronto the next day. 1 week later, she was in Niagara Falls, setting it all up again.
As you see, we have a beautiful sign that we didn't have in Chicago, and a Ferris Bueller, our own very own Ferris Bueller, Brandon Olson, my amazing fiance. How many fiancés would do this for their woman? Come on in. So the room's a little bit different than it was in Chicago. There are more things because this is my home turf, right? So I'm able to find more things and bring things from home. We just rented a moving van and threw everything inside that we had. Like, we had stuff left over from Toronto, so the snores are back. So here's one of the really exciting ones for me is that we found a TV that works, finally. It's an early 80s TV. I think it's a little earlier than Ferris's, but I think this is the coolest looking TV I've ever seen. Look at this part, like this amazing panel of power. It just looks all spacey and like kind of nerdy, and I love it. And we programmed the MTV station IDs, which I've actually always had, but never had a working TV, so it was really important for me to get that one right. The chair that we have this time is that it's no longer our lovely friend Rosie's chair. Rosie got her chair back. We also have the radio and the radio. The other parts of the TV is the remote. How cool is that remote? I always think of Sid so much in this computer. It was really amazing to meet a friend like that, you know, who has brought so much to this project. My friend Joe, who, you know, designed the actual, like, physical space. A lot of heart went into the room, and yeah, so I'm really hoping that at Comic-Con we get a lot of people in here and share the love. And then who knows? It's been tiring, you know, but like at the same time, like nothing good comes from not like busting your ass, right? Like everything that we do is, if you work really hard at it, something special comes out of it. So many wonderful things happen in this experience of doing this room. Having the actors in here and everything else kind of anointed the room, you know, it felt like it sort of picked up a little extra you know, realism. And so that's why I'm like, if I could find a home for it for a long period of time, I would love that, because I do think there's way more, you know, life to this project in the right place.
My main takeaway from this crazy adventure with Sarah is that Ferris Bueller's Day Off has really affected people's lives. And I'm talking way beyond the entertainment value of the movie. It shaped people's identities and their philosophies on life.
Oh, God.
It may sound overly dramatic, but I really felt this. Ferris is a cheerleader, a motivator. He's carefree, he lives life. As one of the guests had said to me in passing, we could all use a little more Ferris in us. They're absolutely right.